Hello and welcome to Plod with me. My name is Colin and this is the channel where I take you around London and tell you a bit about its history. So this is Bloomsbury Part 2. We finished off Part 1 Gordon Square and that's exactly where we're picking up. So here we go. Let's see what we can find. So as I say, Gordon Square, we're just exiting it. And straight away we come to this magnificent building, which now belongs to University College of London. And this is what was Dr. Williams' library. And this was a theological library, as it says, owned by Dr. Williams. Founded in 1729, and I believe it was sort of to do with a branch of Christianity, Unitarian outlook, and developed this big library of lots of writings, including Shakespeare's first folio, which they recently sold off in the last 20 years or so for several million. Just in the last 5 years, the library, all the books, everything was moved and is now joined up with a similar sort of base library. Oh, sorry, tickle in my throat. A similar library, which is based in Manchester, and I think it's called the Evans Library, but somebody tell me if I'm wrong. And that is, it's basically finished its time here. So as I say, the building, I believe, now belongs to University College London. But it is. The books may have gone, but it's still quite a place. You'd like to think they'll put the building to good use. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. So obviously Dr. Williams had a few bob back in the day. Right, so as I was saying before my GoPro decided to change its settings automatically and just switch off, we should be going that way next, but there's something down this way I just want to show you. Let's have a quick look down here and then we'll come back this way.
I love that. I didn't like it. Oh, yeah, oh yeah.
Get a better view over here, I think. So this is the Church of Christ the King. Now, it's a bit deceptive because with those pointed arches and the soaring vaults and the transept and everything, you could be mistaken for thinking that this is a Gothic church. And Gothic churches is an architectural style that was in vogue sort of between sort of 1100s and the 1600s. And some of Britain's greatest churches were built in that style. But this one actually dates from 1854 because it's what's known as the Gothic Revival. So it's basically a newer church built in the old style. And it is, quite impressive to look at. I don't think we can get inside. Everything I've read, it seems to be the only place. Only part of it seems to be accessible as a little chapel at the side. So we'll not try that today, being that it's a working day on a Sunday. But yeah, as I say, it is nice. So when it was first built, 1854, the original minister that used to preach here, he had been booted out of his previous church because they used to encourage things like his parishioners doing things like speaking in tongues, which, let's face it, just isn't British. So he was obviously a bit, what would you say, enthusiastic in his beliefs. And as I say, he was the first preacher here. And it's what's known as an apostolic church, I believe. One of the many, many variations of Christianity that's out there, but essentially, from what I understand, the apostolic faith is they believe that the apostles should be given a lot more sort of importance and credence in the structure of the church and, and how people worship. So that was the sort of the reasoning behind the foundation of this church. And as I say, it's pretty impressive. It also has a somewhat unusual thing about it that you can't see, possibly never will. I don't know if it's still there, but whenever the church was built, apparently in the basement there are a number of, shall we say, ceremonial cloaks, and there's one spare one. And the spare one is for Jesus come the second coming. Which begs the question, I wonder what it looks like. Like, when you go down the tailor and say, I'd like a bunch of these cloaks, and can you do a spare one? What size? Don't know. Who's it for? Well, it's for Jesus. Well, let's go for a medium and hope for the best. So, yeah, come the second coming, this is where he'll be, trying on his robe. So, that is the Church of Christ the King. Now, we're going to go up the length of Gordon Square. I'll probably put some music on because it'll take me a few minutes. And obviously, being a Sunday morning, the perfect music would have been Lionel Richie. Easy. But obviously, because of copyright, you can't do that. So, feel free to put on whatever you want yourself, and I'll let you know whenever we're due to start talking again. One thing I should say about this street, I don't know if any of you are familiar with the show that recently came out called Bookish, which is very good, I have to say. Detective drama set in the 1940s. But it has a number of external shots of this street. So this is obviously one of the locations. Okay, so here is one of our more unusual sights. Meet Jeremy Bentham. Now, this is him, well, apart from the head. The head is false. And that was only because he had suffered too many instances of UCL students nicking the head and doing a godfather and leaving it, pranks, probably leaving it in the beds of some of the students. But this is Jeremy Bentham's skeleton dressed up. And it says here this is called the auto-icon. So he was a great philosopher. He was the guy that invented the idea of utilitarianism, which is basically whatever was for the greatest benefit for the most people should be adopted as a policy when it came to sort of government policies and that sort of thing. Obviously there's been whole books written on it, so it's a very basic overview. So there you go. Bentham held original views on his own death. He is well instructed that his corpse be dissected to benefit medical science, then preserved as the auto-icon or self-image you see here. The case holds Bentham's skeleton, which is padded, clothed and topped with a wax head. And apparently he donated a substantial sum of money to the college, provided they do this. And part of the conditions as well was that he attends some of the meetings. So there's been I think it was 100th anniversary of UCL and 150th anniversary of the University College London, and he has been brought along, and he is marked as in attendance but not voting. So that is one of the more unusual sights in London, if not anything else. Jeremy Bentham, the auto-icon. Now, we are going to go out the back. And for any of you that are interested, you can see the auto-icon in the student centre of UCL. Sort of, I suppose, the equivalent of the Students' Union, I suppose. Oh, there we go. We're just going to go around. We're in the heart of UCL now, sort of weaving in around some of the back buildings. And the next thing we're going to see is actually closed at the minute, but at least you'll be able to see where it is. Now this is in Mallet Street, and if you see up on the right there, let me get out of the sun, up on the right, see the big sign that says Petrie, Museum of Egyptian Archaeology. So basically, go in that doorway there, nip up a few sets of stairs. Not sure, it's not. I wouldn't have thought it's accessible for disabled, but I might be wrong. You go up a few sets of stairs in there, and there's several big rooms. Now, if you're really into your archaeology, like Egyptian, Sudanese, lots of pottery, various artefacts from that sort of era, and if you're really into that sort of thing, and maybe the British Museum's too busy for you, this is the place to come. It's very quiet, very calm. Whenever I came here with my daughter, it was very quiet. Plenty of time to see everything, no jostling and all the rest of it. And they have loads of stuff. But I would say you probably have to really be into it to appreciate it. One thing though that they do have, which was very impressed with, the world's oldest garment, which is 5,000 years old. And to be fair, I've got t-shirts that probably look worse than it does. So that's the Pottery Museum. Definitely worth a visit. Institute of Making. I wonder what they make. It's a bit of a sweeping statement, isn't it? So you can see lots of university buildings. University of Birkbeck. Nice sun-dappled little street. And on the right here, as you can see, is RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts. And you could probably spend all day thinking of all the names of the famous actors and actresses that have studied here. But to name but a few, Anthony Hopkins, Glenda Jackson, Alan Rickman, Sean Bean, Gemma Arterton, Ralph Fiennes, Michael Gambon, the list goes on. Just too many to remember. But this is RADA, and they do hold, they do theatrical performances here. Sort of while the students are learning. And I had intended to see one a few years back. That was going to be, it had Kenneth Branagh acting with some of the students. And he's another alumni of the university. But alas, thanks to COVID, it didn't happen.
So in context of this,
I'm having one of those days where the mechanics of my equipment seem to be at odds with what I want to do. So right now, everything that I'm trying to see is going a little bit off center. Hold on. Oh, that's a pity. I was hoping to show you the sign above this, because it's quite cool looking. And there's a sign which is now covered in scaffolding, which says London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Oh well, that's progress for you. And of course I go to show it to you, and there we go, that's better. So for any of you into your tropical medicine, there's some names carved in on the wall above there. Frank, Pettenkofer, Biggs. Can't say I've heard of any of them, but I'm sure they're very important. But the next thing I want to show you is just up here. Now, how's about this for an impressive building? This is Senate House. Now, this was an Art Deco building, built in 1936. At the time, it was 230 odd feet, I believe, and it was the tallest non-secular building in London. And during the war, I believe at the minute it's like where the admin for the university goes on, but during the war this was the Ministry of Information, and we have to thank it and one of its workers for one of the great works of literature. So amongst others, people that worked here during the war at the Ministry of Information were Graham Greene and George Orwell. And Orwell apparently got very hacked off with the amount of censorship of stuff that he was trying to write about the progress of the war. It was forever getting censored. And the head of Ministry of Information at the time was a man named Bernard Bracken. Now, if you had watched my video on Westminster, we talked a little bit about him and his relationship with Winston Churchill. But Bernard Bracken, remember those initials BB. So apparently as a result of his experiences of the censorship, it partially inspired Orwell to write 1984. And the Ministry of Information became the Ministry of Truth. And it was, of course, all rolled over by BB, Big Brother. So we have this, at least partially, to thank for one of the great books of any time, really. There are times when it seems very apt at the minute with some of the stuff that's going on in the world today regarding who owns the truth, alternative facts and other bollocks theories. But yeah, Senate House. I think it's been used in the odd movie as well. Something tells me that it's been used in one or two. Not surprisingly, given that how sort of imposing a building it looks. Right, now I have to say I haven't gone through this way before, but it sort of runs parallel with where I was thinking of going through. So let's take a wander under Senate House. Oh yes, even like the Art Deco bits in the doorway. It's very nice. Oh, you gotta love this. Welcome. I was half expecting it to say Rome. There we go. University of London School of Slavonic and East European Studies. Institute of Historical Research. And very nice too. Okay. So we're going to go out this side. Oh, blue plaque. Let's see what it says. And another plaque. Francis Trollope, 1780 to 1863, I think, at 4 maybe. Author lived at 16 Keppel Street near the site. Her sons, the author Thomas Adolphus Trollope and, of course, Anthony Trollope, were born here, 1815 to 1882. Okay, so Anthony Trollope. I'm trying to think of the books that he wrote, sort of classic English sitcom or dramas, period dramas now. Was it the Barchester Chronicles, I think? Edward Westermarck, 1862-1939, Finnish pioneer of social anthropology. Finnish pioneer of social anthropology. Lived in a house on this site, 1897 to 1900. So I take it he was studying here for a few years only. Yeah, you gotta say, that's pretty impressive. Okay. Now, we're coming towards the last few bits that we'll be looking at. Because if my reckoning is right, we should be emerging into Russell Square. And if you remember right when I was describing the history of the area, William Lord Russell, 1669, he had married the descendant of the Earls of Southampton, and Russell became the first Duke of Bedford. So this is Russell Square, named after his family. Bedford Estate now manages all the properties that they still own. And here we have one of the little bits of Victorian London. So these are cabmen shelters. So this was basically where cabmen, you got to remember horses and carriages and all that. Apparently they weren't allowed to leave their horse in the carriage, and of course things could get nicked and all that. And there was nowhere for them to go, so they used to slope off into the pub. And obviously drinking was frowned upon by some parts of Victorian society. And so as a bit of philanthropy, one of the rich Victorians started building these cabmen shelters, and then they raised money from other people. And there was loads of them, you know, sort of dozens and dozens all around London. and they were only accessible by people who were cabmen, and they could nip in here and get some non-alcoholic and some food, cup of tea, sandwich, all that. And today, on weekdays, they're not open at the weekend, but on weekdays until I think it's about 2 o'clock thereabouts, you can sort of order something at one of the windows, which I did here about a month ago. And they do exceedingly nice sort of bacon rolls and sausage rolls and various other things. And yeah, there's only 13 of them left in London, but they're all protected now, thankfully. And as I say, they survive by raising money by providing food to the public as well as to the cabbies. Cabbies might be able to get inside, but for the rest of us, we can order from the outside. There you go, it's got a sign up saying closed throughout August back on the Monday the 1st of September. But yeah, they usually have a little picnic table out here. I don't know where that's gone. That was about a month ago, middle of July. My daughter and I got something here and sat outside, and it was a day very much like this, and we had ourselves a drink and a bacon roll about the size of my head. And I'm not joking, it was huge. And very reasonably priced too. So this is the second largest square in London. This is Russell Square. And this was, shall we say, the area and the housing around it was allowable because there used to be Bedford House. As I was saying before, Duke of Bedford used to own a large part of the land, still does, but there was a huge big house, called Bedford House, and they demolished that, and that made way for the park and a number of the houses around it. Now, here's a little sign telling you about some of the famous people that have lived in the area. Oh, actually in the square, number 21, Oscar Wilde. Okay. Irish playwright Oscar Wilde spent his last evening in London here on the 19th of May 1897 before leaving for France. Never returned. T.S. Eliot, I know he worked, he was working at a publisher's here, and apparently his wife used to march up and down, his ex-wife I should say, used to march up and down with a sign saying, I am the wife of T.S. Eliot abandoned. For those of you who don't know, T.S. Eliot, big poet, very famous poet. Let's see. William Nobby Clark, intelligence officer and wartime codebreaker, born here in 1883. He played a key role in laying the foundations for the remarkable success of Bletchley Park in decrypting the Enigma machines. Charles Grant, leading slavery abolitionist. There has just been all sorts. So I will just do this, and for any of you that want to pause and have a look, Ralph Waldo Emerson lodged here. There we go. Takes all sorts. The Beatles, 67. The Beatles stayed at the President Hotel in 63, along with their manager, Brian Epstein, Cilla Black and Jerry and the Pacemakers. Well, who knew? Right. So, I think I'll walk around this way, around the park. It's a very nice place to come and just sit and chill, maybe doing a bit of people watching. But as you can see, in the past, there have been lots of people, famous people, that have lived here. I'm just hoping the battery holds out and I'll show you the hotel on the other side.
But your music,
If you come here in the winter, this is all lit up with lights and everything. It's all very nice. Very picturesque. And you can see there, you've got the little fountains, which do spring up from time to time. I bet to give the birds a bit of a fright. Sometimes see the dogs running in amongst the water.
Here.
Now it's going to get a bit noisy now because we're going to be on the main road. So bear with me. But I just wanted to show you this hotel. What's now known as the Kimpton Hotel, and this was designed in, I believe, French Gothic style by a guy called, I think it was Charles James, don't shoot me if I got the first couple of names wrong, but his last name was Dolly. That's not the sort of name you forget in a hurry. It was built in 1898, and for some reason above the doorway there you see there's 4 women just like, you know, on either side of the flags. Those are the 4 last Protestant queens of England. So you've got Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mary II, Queen Anne and Queen Victoria. And I don't know why it was thought that they needed to be put up there, but there they are. But it's very ornate. Very, very pretty. And long may it last as far as I'm concerned. So if you fancy staying somewhere a bit flash, I would say you could do a lot worse. I don't know how much the rates are, but I suspect they're a bit above my pay level. But there you go. So, I'll go back into the park and then we can finish. Well, there we have it. That is the end of Bloomsbury Walk Part 2. That is by no means the all of Bloomsbury. Oh no, there's more to see. But that will do us for today. So thanks for watching if you got this far. At some point in the near future, hopefully, I'll get number 3 done. And yeah, if you enjoy these sorts of videos and you want to see some more, hit the subscribe button. You know what to do. Okay, so as I say, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Bye.